Hello and welcome to 3ds Max. Today I'm going to be showing you how to model a fast food tray. Now this isn't just one model, this is about 4 or 5 models put together, so the video is going to be put into 5 different parts, so if the kind of video transitions, you know that's why. So the first thing we're going to want to start modeling is the tray for the food to go on. So to do that, we're going to want to go into the top view here and draw ourselves out a plane. To get the plane object, you make sure you've got the Create tab selected, then Geometry, then just click the plane button and draw it out as I did then. Once you've done that, we can right click the perspective window and make it full screen. The reason we right click the window and not left click it is because if we were to left click it, we might draw something else, or if we've got the move tool selected, when we click we might accidentally move something as well. So by right clicking it, we can't actually move things around. We can bring up this little menu, but that's really easy to undo, so that's why we right click. So we're going to make that screen full size and press G to get rid of the grid. Then we're going to want to hop into the modify tab, make sure we got the plane selected, and here we're going to want to kind of pan around by holding Alt and middle mouse and make this tray look a bit more tray. You can press T to bring up top view, or you can press this button here to see the top view up here if you like, but I just like to press T and P and kind of pan around in perspective and then press T to kind of familiarise myself with the bird's eye view of it. So I'm happy with that kind of ratio there between length and width. So we don't want any of these kind of quads here. We want this thing to be one big quad. So to do that, we make sure we got our plane selected here and right click the bottom arrows of length and width segments, and that will just make it one big polygon. Then we want to convert it to an editable polygon and make sure we got the selection menu over here. To make it editable, I just right click the object and went here and editable poly, and that's how you bring that up. So anyway, you want to make sure you got the selection kind of hierarchy displayed and click the polygon tool. Select the face and insert it. Now I think we should bring this in roughly there. I don't know, this is going to be like the kind of the trim of your thingy, so think about the incline actually. So how steep do you want the incline to be, or how shallow do you want it to be? Like I'll just quickly show you. So if we make this like that, we're going to be bringing it down. So I kind of like that, but if you were to make it much smaller, like the thing, and bring it in, and bring it down, it's not really a tray then, is it? So you kind of want to get the balance right between looking kind of how shallow it is, I guess, and kind of the trim. So I like that, so I click the tick, and we want to select this face and drag it down, not too deep because it's a tray, not a bowl, and I think that's nice. So it's a bit sharp on the edges here, like you don't really see fast food trays with kind of sharp edges and like no kind of lip to hold your finger on. So to do that, we're gonna select the loop. So to do that, I clicked on the border over here, and that will select all this area for us. When we click one of them, select the whole thing. You can click edge and double click, and that will do the same thing. So once you've got this kind of outside rim selected, you want to hold left shift and get the scale tool out, and the yellow part in the center of the scale gizmo, you're going to want to hold click and then drag it out, and that's going to add a nice little lip to your tray. You can then go back and Like if you see mine, it's a bit thicker on these sides than it's a bit thicker on the sides than it is on the top, so I just scaled the y-axis alone, and that's a nice looking tray. I think that's pretty good. That's gonna work pretty well. However, there is one problem. Sorry about that little cut there, guys. My editing keys are actually bound to the F keys, so when I try to render the frame, it actually stopped the recording, but thankfully it's still saved, so I'm gonna do it the old-fashioned way and click this button up here, the render frame window, and if you click that and then click render, that's gonna render the frame out, and as you can see, our tray is looking mighty fine. However, if we look at it from the bottom and try rendering it now, we don't have a tray anymore, and that's because polygons are one-sided, so we can see it this side, but we can't see it this side. Now to fix that, we're going to want to go over here by clicking it, and then up here in the modify tab, in the modifier list, you're going to want to type in shell, or you can scroll down and find it, just click it, and that's going to add a tiny little kind of gap onto that there. You can change it, you can make it thicker or as thin as you like by clicking and dragging these two arrows, and that'll let you adjust the slider. You can do it both ways, you can do bottom and top, but I like it like that. And now if we click the render button and hit the render, as you can see, we can see both the bottom and the top of our tray, which is what we like. Okay, so we finished the tray. Let's move on to the chips. So for that, we're going to want to grab a plane object and just draw ourselves out a plane. I think 45 and 40 looked alright there. Let's just have another look. Yep, that seems alright to me. Let me just think about this for a sec. Alright, so we're going to want to grab this rotate tool and get the angle snap tool as well, and that will let us rotate by intervals of 5 degrees. And we just want to make that 90 degrees up because this is going to be the front of our chip box. Then we're going to want to right click it and convert it to an editable poly. You're going to want to hold Alt and press Q. And what that's going to do is it's going to make the tray disappear, and that way it's just easier to model off because you'll have this by itself. So alright, let's get going. So we're going to want to grab the edge tool and go up and down, just like that. Select these two, and then connect it with 6 segments. Once you've got them 6 segments, you're going to want to pull it back a bit, and then Alt click each of them, and then drag it back a little bit more. If you deselect it, just reselect them by holding down Control and clicking. And we're trying to add like a little curve here, so top view might actually be pretty good for us here. And then it's okay to go orthographic for this bit because all we're doing is selecting faces. Press T and then bring them in a bit. And then you're going to just kind of want to mess around with this a bit, kind of get it to how you want. So pull this in. And I think that looks quite nice actually. So let's grab all these faces here, not faces, edges, sorry, and pull them up. And then reselect these ones, pop that up, and then bring that one up a tiny bit. And that's kind of created the back of our chips. We could have done with making that bump a little bit bigger, but I think it should be fine once we've got the thing put in. So if we select all of these now, I'm going to leave the top out, select the sides and bottom, and then shift click the y-axis, bring it out. Bear in mind it's going to be where the front of your chip thing starts, so kind of it's your personal preference as to where it begins. And then we're going to want to grab all of these, then grab the scale tool, and then we're going to want to flatten this out. To do that, I'm scaling it this way, so up towards the top of my screen, and I'm just going to move my mouse a few times just so I'm certain it's straight, and then that's going to create that nice straight front for us. Unfortunately, I've messed this up a bit here, but should be fine as long as we grab both of them, drag them in. To do that, I just grabbed the vertice tool and selected the two corners, and that should be fine actually. So you're going to want to bring them down as well while we're here, and then we're going to want to get the edge tool and select both of these and bridge them. What that's going to do is that's going to create a nice little bridge between them two edges, and then we're going to want to select the bottom and top like we did with the plane when it was by itself, and connect it. Our settings should still be there, but if they're not, we want 6 segments, and then we want to alt click these, pop them in. Oh god, no we don't, we want to control click them, then we want to alt click these. There you go. This one doesn't bump out as much as the back one usually, but I think that should be fine. Yeah, that's looking good. So if you ever look at these chip things, especially if the reference image that I popped up on screen earlier, and I'll pop it up again now, the actual front of the chips isn't flat like the box room. It's actually quite curved, just like the back is curved. So to create that effect, we're going to want to do the same that we did with this bit by selecting these edges and bringing them down rather than up this time, because we're creating the opposite effect. And that should look quite nice like that. That's looking pretty good. However, I'm not liking kind of how drastic this drop off is here, so what I'm going to do is control click these edges and then connect them, but we're going to change this to 1. I only want 1 segment in here, so change that to 1, and then we're going to grab these edges here, pop them down a bit, and we're going to pop these down a bit as well, not as much as each other. Sorry about that, it was my phone, but may be able to edit that out. So once we've done that, we'll select these two things we've connected. And the reason, not only because of this drastic kind of edge that we've now kind of sorted out, looks alright, this will help it a lot more as well. So what we're going to want to do is grab these edges here and pull these out. Doesn't have to be the same because it's not going to be very noticeable, but now you can see we're starting to get that more like kind of conventional chip look. You can always go back, and I've just noticed that that's not very nice. I don't really like the curve that I've done there, so I'm going to change that. And verts is a great way to change this. Of course, you may already be happy with your chip thing, but this is just how I've done mine. A lot of modeling is just playing around with options, making sure it looks nice and kind of making yourself satisfied with how it looks. So now we're going to want to do the bottom, but as you can see, got a bit of a problem here, so that's an easy fix. We're just going to delete the bottom faces, and then we're going to do what we did with the barrel and just double click the outside and alt click the opposite edges and then bridge, and that's going to sort that problem out for us nice and quickly. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the chips. We could go the kind of next stage here and actually delete this bottom bit again and grab these posing sides and add another curve in. Add another curve in like that, and then pop it up a bit. The first one you don't want to be as big as the other ones, because otherwise you're going to start getting like a sharp kind of look. You don't really want that. As you can see, that's kind of added like a nice little curve, we'll make that last bit not as big as the rest. And then if we bridge them again, let's try and do it a bit better this time, because the bridge last time didn't look as good. So if we do alt click these opposite faces and bridge, so that's looking a lot better now. And as you can see, we have some nice looking chips there, not that we've put any chips in. To do that, we'll just hit alt Q and come back out of that, and then and if that didn't work, click this little red light bulb, and we're gonna want to move our chips around. You can always scale them if they don't look good. You might make them a bit smaller if you want. It's up to you though. I like mine like that. Then you're gonna want to grab a box, nothing too fancy, just a chip, and then move it inside, and then duplicate it over, add a bit of variation in the height. Probably be better to get a nicer view of this, and then rotate it a bit, and then you'd kind of repeat that the whole way through. Now you can control click and then hold left shift. Oh god, make sure I haven't got the tray selected. And then hold left shift and then move it over. That's how you duplicate objects, just make sure they're copies. And then you can just repeat that process for the whole sort of chip packet, and then you should end up with some funky looking chips. Right, so I've just gone ahead and repeated the process I just shown you with the chips, and as you can see, it looks a bit better. You could spend a lot more time on it, adding more rotations. I just kind of copy and pasted and didn't really take much effort into making them not touch each other, but kind of gives you an idea of what it would look like if you were to repeat the process I've shown you. So now we're probably going to want to go over and make the burger box. Now I'm going to show you the basic version of this box. So to do that, we're going to drag out a box and make sure it's about, I don't know, 40, I guess, I don't know, 40 by 40, and then make the height, and by just adjusting the slider, I guess 25 looks alright. So change that, and we're going to want to right click that and make it an editable poly. We're going to want to alt Q, and that's going to get us into this mode. We'll be going a little faster this time because I'm hoping that you guys have picked up on where the buttons are to select the edges and loops like that. So yeah, we're going to just select the edges and pop through like that. And what it's going to do is, well, we've been doing that quite a bit already, so we're now going to add a connect. Now this bit can be as simple or as complicated as you want. You could model the entire burger and put it in, but I'm not going to do that. So instead I'm going to make the pinch quite close, and yeah, just do a pinch like that, and then select these faces, holding control and just clicking them, and then I'm going to extrude them by their normal, and that's going to create this kind of bump coming out here, and just make that a bit smaller. This isn't a burger, by the way, a really crappy burger with 2 buns and a slice of whatever going through the middle. So that looks quite nice. So now we're probably going to want to grab this. It's automatically been selected for me, but we're going to want to select the top bit. I'll just reselect it to show you which bit. The bit just above that line we just extruded, and pull it up. We're going to want to pull it up, and we're going to want to do the same here. Double click. I think that's on an edge loop. Yes, it is, so we'll be able to just do the same there as well. And then that looks alright. Alright. Now you're going to want to grab the bottom and the top of the box and scale it inwards. So to do that, you just grab the middle, the yellow part, and just scale it in. Nothing too big, just enough so you kind of get that effect. Then, that's pretty much it. I mean, I probably could have done with making this less extruded. So I'm going to scale that in, I think. So to do that, I'm going to hold control and left shift, and then drag it in, and then grab these edge loops, and then scale them in, and then maybe pull them close together, So to do that, we'll just have to double click each one and drag it down. Double click and drag it up. You could actually model an entire separate thing and create kind of sort of like a hook thing, a little clip to go over here, but I don't. This has been going on for way too long already, and I don't want to drag it on any more than it should. So there's your burger box. It looks alright actually, not too bad. You can just scale it up, and yeah, it's looking alright. Spend a bit more time on it if you want, but I am running quite low on time, as you can see by the video timer. We must be over 15 minutes now. I don't know, but anyway, let's go on to the drink. Now, if we get a few more cuts in this bit, I'm sorry, but the straw is a bit of a pain. So yeah, let's get going straight away. So I'm going to want to draw a cylinder, ring it up. It's actually quite tall, the drink. I don't know what the word is, but it's taller than you'd think it would be. So I think 15 and 55 are my radius and heights here-ish. So if you want the exact number, you can go with that. So we're going to want to right click and make it into an editable poly. Now we want to delete the top face and select the edge, and then scale it out like we did with the tray at the beginning, and then grab the move tool. If you don't know, if you've forgotten how I just did that, I held left shift, and I'm going to do the same here. Hold left shift and drag it up, and then grab the scale tool and left shift and drag it in. And now we're starting to look, it's looking a bit like a Mario pipe here, but trust me, it's not. So we're going to want to drag that right in. In fact, no, we're not. We're going to want to drag it in about that much, and then grab this, drag it in a bit, and then do the same again, then drag it up, then drag it in. It's a very long, tedious process of dragging sliders, but there you go. So we kind of got the top of our drink going on here, so we're going to want to extrude that up, and this is going to be our straw. So looking at reference images, actually, almost all of the drinks are like this. In fact, that's a bit thick, that straw. The straws aren't actually that thick, so I'll make that a bit smaller. Almost all the reference images I look at, the straws don't actually bend, but I'm going to show you how to make that bend anyway, so kind of just keep playing around with it until you're happy with the width of it. But we're going to grab the bottom for now and scale this in, because they're kind of like cone shaped, a bit like that, see? And then you can, if you'd be able to see the bottom of this, you can click the inset button and take it off and then extrude it inwards. But I don't think you will be able to see the bottom of this, so that's not really relevant, but let's just put it in there anyway. This is an Engon, we don't want them, so we'll delete that, and we'll do the bridging technique that I shown with probably already shown it, but anyway, we're going to want to hold Alt and deselect parallel edges, and then click the bridge tool. And what that's going to do is that's going to get rid of that nasty Engon which causes lighting errors and makes loops really hard to work with, as well as making them quads, which looks a lot cleaner, I think, for modelling purposes. So there you go, we made that. You don't have to do what I just did on the bottom, but it's there if you want it. Now this is the bit where it's probably going to start getting cut up a lot, because I haven't done this for a while, and I'm almost certain it's going to be more difficult than I remember it was, because we're not using the technique that I prefer. So we're going to want to make the straw go up a bit, and then we're going to want to add a connect. No, we don't. We want to select them like that, and then connect. And I think it's like 5 segments, maybe 6. make the pinch nice and small, and drag them up. And then we're going to want to change the pivoting point of the object. So to do that, we're going to want to change the hierarchy and the pivoting point and make it so we affect pivot only. And then we want to drag this up so it's just underneath the bottom curve of the straw. Front view should help us quite a bit here. So that's going to make sure that's perfect. Yes, it is. Well, ish. It's perfect enough. As long as it's just below that bottom line, we should be alright. So we can deselect that affect pivot point only, and then go into here and select the bend tool. Alright. This is where it starts getting a bit funky, and I'm probably going to have to edit it. You just want to set the lower limit to 0 and only change your upper. And then once you've got your upper set like a bit more than the max, you're going to want to edit the angle. And you can see we got that nice bend in the straw there. Don't worry about these orange lines. So that was actually a lot easier than I thought it'd be. So once you got that, make your straw bent as much as you like. And then you want to click the bend modifier and right click and convert it to an editable poly. Now we're going to want to grab each of these, which should already be selected, but if they're not, just deselect this bottom one here by holding Alt and dragging over it. We're going to want to extrude it inwards. Yeah, that looks pretty crazy, but if we just add that little bit in there, we're just going to add a kind of nice detail that kind of takes this model to the next level. So if you ever look at a straw, it's actually kind of bumpy. It's not actually just a bent piece of plastic. So what we're doing here is we are kind of adding that bump. You can play around with that a bit more than I did. I don't think mine looks as good as it could do, but hey, it's practical. So now we want to select that loop there. I mean, we could actually select the loop tool here, the border tool, and cap it off, and then grab that face and then extrude it. That's probably an easy way of doing it. I like that setting already, but let's just make sure I have the right numbers. So 10 seems to be alright for me. And then we can then inset that, change it so it's an actual straw. There you go. And then extrude it inwards. And there you go. We have a little straw. We don't actually need that there, so you can delete that altogether. If a player manages to look through that hole, well, they've discovered a bug. In fact, you could, if you were expecting people to be able to look inside this, which in our case they would do, you want to select that loop in there. It's quite hard to see. I'm going to have to see if I can zoom in here. And then deselect opposite parallel, whatever you want to call it, and bridge it. And then press Z. Oh, there you go. Yeah, I just had to press Z. My bad. Alright, and we have a straw on top of our drink. The straw could have had a bit more work done here, but I mean, it's practical. It works. So there you go. That's your drink. So we can now return that to our thingy by pressing this light bulb down here, the isolation mode. And we now have a drink as part of our group of stuff for our meal. Alright, now that is pretty much the whole thing done, and it took forever. But we could go next level, and it's very easy. You just click on create geometry, standard primitives, torus, and then scale it how you like. And then scale that in. And bang, freaking donut. Congratulations. You have managed to watch... Excuse me, Steam, stop making noises. You have managed to watch the entire video. If you haven't skipped through, well done. Let me know who you are and I will congratulate you in person. But If you have skipped to the end, I do not blame you. I probably did during the editing process. I'm guessing this video is going to be over 20 minutes, which is ridiculous. So, yeah, if you have actually watched the whole thing, congratulations. But yeah, pretty sure that is pretty in-depth tutorial on how to make this fast food tray, with the bonus of having a donut, of course. I will try and put reference images over the video for whatever area I'm doing. That might help quite a bit. So yeah, thank you for watching. If you watched the whole thing, like I said, well done. And yeah, cheers for watching.